Welcome to Dukascopy TV. Joining me to discuss the French economy is Peter Jarrett, Division Head in the OECD Economics Department, responsible for the economic surveillance of France. Peter, the Eurozone's economy has picked up slightly, but French unemployment is now 3.43 million. The country's debt is 95.3% of GDP and growth is non-existent. Can this be squarely blamed on the government's deficit reduction plans?
Definitely not. While the fact that the government has been cutting the deficit in the past few years has exerted some downward pressure on activity and upward pressure on unemployment, the plans are to do far less in the future in the way of deficit reduction. To slow things down, there's a recognition that not all of France's problems lie on the supply side, and that demand is equally lacking in the economy, not only in France but in the whole euro area. But the unemployment at around 10% when properly measured is the result of both inadequate demand and, for example, various problems such as with the tax system. It would be completely unfair to single out deficit reduction as the cause of poor performance. Indeed, many people, including us at the OECD, believe that this is one of the key ingredients to getting out of the problem, that the French have to learn to live within their means and to greatly reduce the budget deficit on a sustainable basis, and they can only do that by cutting back on spending.
Production is still high within the country. Is it high enough? Is there enough confidence?
You could call it confidence, or you could call it uncertainty. We think that that the typical households and businesses are faced with incredible uncertainty at the moment. Households because of unemployment and changes to tax policies that affect them, and businesses for the currency, the prices they're able to get in the market under severe downward pressure in many cases, and also the various tax policies. Because so much is coming on the agenda for questioning that never heretofore has been questioned in France. There's nothing sacred, and that means that there's a lot of uncertainty, and people are choosing, we think, to wait and see, and rather than buying a new house or an existing house, a new house to the family, or making other major purchases. Deadly for an economy if that becomes too widespread, because spending is definitely needed to keep things rolling.
Finally, Peter, do you think the future is bleak for the French economy?
Well, we think that if some of these uncertainties can be resolved, there are good reasons. Especially if they're resolved in a favorable fashion. The banking union and the announcements on last Sunday were very helpful in that regard, because they've removed much of the uncertainty, I won't say all, but much of the uncertainty about the financial system, at least as it stands today, and how it might react in the possibility of a future shock. In terms of other structural reforms in France and in the euro area or in the EU more generally, that if the president comes out with an agenda, a list of things that he wishes to accomplish before the end of his mandate, and then I think again, those items that are off the table, or one would assume that are not going to be touched. There are strategies for mitigating at least some of the uncertainties. And, of course, going forward, if the global economy continues to gradually improve, especially led by North America and some of the emerging market economies, even Europe will start to enjoy the benefits of that in the coming period, and that should be good. But independent of that, the reforms that have already been announced, and some of which have been legislated and implemented, they will start to have some benefit for the economy. The OECD came out with some quantification of that. Over a 5 to 10 year horizon, we estimate that growth should benefit by something like a third of a percentage point per year. And so we should start to see that in at least to some extent by the end of the president's term.
Thanks, Peter. That's all we have time for today. Keep watching Dukascopy TV for more news on the market as it happens. Goodbye.